Oh, it's you again. Do you want to hear the rest of Hercules' story? Then, come here, sit near the fire, and let's begin. The fifth labor, the chore of cleaning out the Augean stable, was less dangerous than some of the others, but, in its way, even more arduous. Augeas was king of neighboring Elis. His stable, with thousands of cattle, had not been cleared for 30 years, so it was incredibly filthy. Hercules was told to clean it up in a single day. Hercules, for once, was shrewd. He said he'd do the job, but Augeas would have to give him 1/10 of the cattle. Augeas agreed. Now Hercules proved himself to be a clever engineer, a master of hydraulics. There were 2 rivers nearby, one on each side of the stable. Hercules knocked out parts of the stable walls at either end and diverted the course of both rivers towards the upper end of the barn. Following the natural line of gravity, the rivers round and hill converged and ripped through the stalls, washing away all of the dirt and filth. Augeas, however, went back on his promise of the cows. Hercules did not argue. He was still consumed with working out his penance, but later he took his revenge by seizing riches from Elis, which he used to found the ancient Olympic Games. The sixth labor was to eliminate the Stymphalian birds. These were man-eating birds with claws, beaks, and wings of bronze. They came out of Lake Stymphalius in Arcadia, swarmed down on the fields and destroyed crops like locusts. For this task, Hercules received help from the goddess Athena, who respected him for his manliness and good heart. She gave him a big brass rattle that sounded like a whole band of cymbals. Assaulted by the tremendous noise, the bronze birds flew off, and Hercules shot them with his poison arrows. The seventh labor was to deliver the Cretan bull to King Eurystheus. The Cretan bull belonged to King Minos of Crete. It was a beautiful creature, but it had gone crazy, and King Minos was anxious to get rid of it. Hercules went to Crete, captured the mad bull, and took it back to Mycenae. The next labor, the eighth, was to capture the wild mares of Diomedes, a barbarian king of Thrace. His horses were man-eating and so wild that Diomedes had to tether them to their brass mangers with chains of iron. Hercules organized a troop of young men and led them to Thrace, where they made a massive assault on Diomedes' citadel, which soon fell. They captured the cruel and savage king, and the horses, no longer threatened by the civil men, calmed down and were easily led to Eurystheus. Labor number 9 involved the beautiful belt of Hippolyta, queen of the Amazons, a tribe of women warriors who fought on horseback. Hercules raised another army of volunteers and led it across the Aegean Sea into Asia Minor. At first, he tried to diplomacy and simply demanded the belt. Surprisingly, Hippolyta seemed willing to give it up. She may have been impressed by this brisk and brusque young warrior. The other Amazons, however, thought their queen was being taken captive, so they attacked the Greeks. It was quite a battle, Europe against Asia, men against women, but Hercules' men won, and Hercules brought the broad belt back. The 10th labor involved the longest journey to an island, Ertia, located off the Spanish coast. where there lived a dreadful monster, Geirion, who had 3 bodies joined at the waist. Another lesser monster guarded his cattle, along with a 2-headed dog. These beasts were laying waste to all lands in the area, creating a state of disorder without any effective government. Hercules' job was to bring back Geirion's cattle. On his way to battle the monster, Hercules built 2 gigantic pillars, one on either side of the straits that are now called Gibraltar, where the Mediterranean Sea meets the Atlantic Ocean. For thousands of years, these pillars were called the Pillars of Hercules. When he arrived on the island, he killed the 2-headed dog with his club, then killed the guardian monster and shot the 3-bodied Geirion with arrows. He drove the cattle back by a land route through Europe. He also taught the people of the island the ways of law and stable government, a great accomplishment for a man who had been a slow learner in school. The 11th labor was to fetch the golden apples of the Hesperides, guarded by the 3 fair daughters of Atlas, along with the great dragon. This task was even more difficult because he did not know exactly where the Hesperides were, so he had to hunt all over the known world and even into the unknown world. At first, he went the wrong way, to the east, as far as the Caucasus Mountains, where Prometheus, the great titan who gave fire to mankind, was still bound to the icy rock, still suffering the terrible torments. Here, the anger of Hercules at the Titan's unjust fate was a righteous anger, and here perhaps he did his greatest deed, though it is not officially ranked with the 12. He set Prometheus free. Only the strongest man in the world, not even a god, could have done that. Hercules even proved to be a successful diplomat. He persuaded Zeus to take Prometheus back again and treat him kindly and receive him well at Olympus. Prometheus wished to return the favor as best as he could. He counselled Hercules to find Atlas, his brother, and ask him where the apples were, since the Hesperides were his daughters. Hercules did so. He found the old Titan on his mountain in northwest Africa, holding up the sky. Hercules, in a friendly way, greeted him and asked directions. Atlas said, regretfully, that the exact location of the gardens was a secret. But, he said, just hold up the sky for me, and I'll get the apples for you. Hercules agreed, and took the skies on his shoulders, while Atlas, delighted to be free, ran off to fetch the apples. Holding up the heavens was a tough chore even for Hercules, and he began to wonder if perhaps he had made a mistake. But Atlas was true to his word. He brought the apples back. A little wistfully, he asked if he might deliver them to Eurystheus, but Hercules was afraid that if Atlas went off with the apples, he would never come back, and then Hercules would have to hold up the skies until the end of time. So he asked the giant to hold up the sky for him just a minute, while he eased his shoulders. After all, he told him, even strong men need to rest. Atlas was not smart like his brother, Prometheus. He had no foresight, so he agreed. Hercules put the sky back on the Titan's shoulders, picked up the apples, and took them back to Eurystheus. For his 12th labor, Hercules was required to go down to Hades and fetch up Cerberus, the 3-headed dog who guarded the door. Pluto was willing to loan out his dog for a while, but forbade Hercules to use weapons. So the hero grabbed the dog in his hands and gave him several good squeezes until he was tame. Then he carried him to the upper world, showed him to Eurystheus, and brought him back. With that, Hercules' labors were done, and his penance was fulfilled. Oh, it's already this late. Sure, time does fly fast when you're telling a good story. It's late now. Go on, go to sleep. But come back. I will tell you more good stories. I will wait you here near the campfire. Go on. For now, go to sleep. Good night.